you start changing chords on guitar, and this is still true for intermediate and advanced players as well, sometimes a lot of the difficulties we encounter are sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, or something that we're kind of doing to ourselves. Of course, it is genuinely challenging, and there's nothing that we can do about that, but we can try to avoid adding any more difficulty. Here's the first thing that no one tells you. Don't practice having a high difficulty mindset. A good example is making sort of pained faces, and you'll almost never see a person playing with ease who looks like they're obviously struggling. So prioritize not feeling stressed. You can even make a little pre-flight checklist or something to symbolically remind you, and actually put it on your music stand or a sticky note on your iPad to remind you to just loosen up a bit and breathe more calmly and try to feel like you're in the rest and digest state and not in fight or flight. Sometimes, because we're trying to learn to do so many things at once, we end up not having the clearest image of what we're trying to do to send to our muscles. And so there is a good way to cut out a lot of this extra effort. And it's interesting because a lot of people will kind of have a eureka moment when they first think of it this way. But instead of just like putting your fingers down, let's do this. Don't push yet. So you just touch your fingers to the strings above their spots for a chord, but don't push. And then we just have to push them down that last little bit, which also feels very easy. Another thing that basically no one tells you is to learn to be able to make your fretted notes sound like this. At first, it is normal to feel like we have to push so hard, because often we need to develop a bit more strength in those exact muscles. But if we get too used to that feeling of pushing hard, as we continue to get stronger, we might subconsciously assume that we should still feel that same sense of exertion. But even if we pressed like 500% too hard, we basically just get the same result of a nice, clear sounding note. And so there isn't always a glaringly obvious sign that you're pushing harder than you need to. So what we can do is come at it from the other side, which is to slightly underpress. The sweet spot is kind of terrible sounding buzzy notes, because that means you're really close to the optimal amount of pressure. Do this for like a minute a day. You don't really have to do it with chords or anything, just one finger at a time, and you're just getting the sensation of nearly pressing hard enough. This will probably seem like the easiest thing for many advanced players, but when you're just starting, this can be really tricky. And if it does seem tricky to you, then you definitely need to work on this. What we want to have is this kind of multitasking on autopilot, where our two hands can each do their own thing at the same time, but it's not requiring any particular amount of effort or thought. And so we can just kind of do it in the background while we're really thinking about other things like what's for dinner. And you'll eventually get it just from playing and sort of figure it out. But I have a great way to get over this little obstacle way faster. You just strum, and the whole idea is to keep strumming come hell or high water. And bonus marks if you can do a cool strumming pattern or improvise. But at first, keep it really simple. Now just start strumming a steady beat, and think of a chord that you want to do. Just strum and think. And then just add one of the fingers, but it doesn't even have to match your strumming. And then add another. Then eventually let go, and then think of but don't do another chord, and then put your fingers down one at a time again. Keep strumming as the primary focus. And it's fine to fail, but just know that's what you're trying to do. After a while, this will help your strumming to feel more automatic and give you more courage to change chords without stopping. Another thing that no one tells you is that you're never really going to learn to move your fingers faster. You can learn to move them more efficiently and in a more coordinated way. But no matter how amazing you get, you will always have to leave the previous chord a little early in order to get to the next chord on time. And the audience will notice if you're hesitating before each downbeat. But if you leave a little space before the beat and still get there on time, nobody will even notice or care. And so here's a good approach for that, and just jump in where it starts to get challenging for you. The first step is to try it without any deadline or without a steady tempo. And so for each chord, you just do it when you're ready. But remember that I advise to touch the strings first and only push as you're about to play. So even if it takes a little bit of extra time or it seems like an extra step, this is the time to really learn that. So you prepare your chord, take as much time as you want, play it, then let go, and then prepare your next chord. And again, you have as much time as you want, and then when you're ready, play it. When you're ready, the next level is to have a very slowly approaching deadline. And you can use as much of the time as you want to prepare for the next chord. So we might do it like this. Then we might strum twice like half notes, and we can still leave early and take all the time to prepare, but now it has to fit in here. Then we can apply the same idea to quarter notes. Here's another one that you would eventually figure out for yourself by doing it, but you can save yourself lots of time by teaching yourself this consciously, which is just that we tend to try to do everything at the same time, which causes a lot of problems. So say we're already holding a chord down, then we can just be strumming away and kind of enjoying ourselves. And we're counting along like 2, 3, 4, and then suddenly we panic, like, what's the next chord? And where do my fingers go? And we get into this critical emergency. And so basically the idea is to start thinking of the next chord early when you're not that busy yet.